Everyone, welcome to DIADEMY IAS. In today's class, we will discuss about a poem. We know that we have 60 poems in UPSC mains optional paper, and we discussed different ages in the last classes, like old period, medieval period, and then we discussed about specifically the role of Elizabethan age and Renaissance and all. And here in this class, we can discuss about a poem, a small poem, but very, very important one, easy to read, easy to understand, straightforward lines, specific meaning and all. So let's discuss about this poem. The poem is about death. Okay, the introduction of the poem is death. And above all, this poem is about love. Its poem is about nature. Its poem is about eternity and all. So the basic tone of the poem, she dwelt among the untrodden ways. The basic theme of the poem is death or sorrow. Okay, so let's discuss in detail about the poem. Before going to the meaning of this poem, we can discuss about the author of this poem. Who is the author of this poem? We know that it's a most familiar, most famous writer in English literature, that is Wordsworth. Okay. Wordsworth is the writer of this poem, and we know that all the writings of Wordsworth is something specific. And at the same time, we can say that this poem is written in the time of Romantic age. That's an important point we have to keep in our mind, that Romantic age, Romantic period. Romantic age. What is Romantic age? Romantic age, we know that the important area or important division in English literature, during this time, the most famous literary work in English literature born in this time. And the outstanding writers, whenever we take a research in English literature, the Romantic period is considered as the richest age in English literature. So why this Romantic age is specific or peculiar? It means that a lot of writers and a lot of readers, actually the community, a huge community of readers are there in the Romantic age. So all these, when considering all these factors, we can say that Romantic age is the outstanding period in English literature. All the writings, whenever we go through the syllabus of very school level syllabus as well, we can see Wordsworth, Coleridge, like different writers, their works included in the school syllabus, even school syllabus also. Lot of writings, a lot of poems we can see, the different stream, whatever it's CBSE or state syllabus, NCERT, whatever the syllabus may be, we can see the works of Wordsworth and other writers, specifically Romantic writers. So that is the peculiarity of this period. And these writers, the writers in Romantic age, is familiar in readers, okay, familiar among the readers. So here let's discuss about this poem. And before that, I want to say that commonly this poem is considered as a Lucy poem. Lucy. Okay, what is Lucy poem? Before that, we can see the syllabus. This is the UPSC optional syllabus. From UPSC optional syllabus, we have 9 poems from Wordsworth. Okay, 9 poems by Wordsworth. And these are the poems which we can see in UPSC syllabus. The poems are Ode on Intimation of Immortality, Tintern Abbey, 3 years she grew, She dwelt among the untrodden ways, Michael, Resolution and Independence, The world is too much with us, Milton, thou shouldest be living at this hour, Upon Westminster Bridge. These are the poems, list of poems in UPSC Literature Optional syllabus. And here we are going to study now this poem. She dwelt among the untrodden ways. Considering this poem, only Tintern Abbey and the Odd Intimation of Immortality, these 2 poems are lengthiest. And all other poems of Wordsworth are very simple poems, like very, very simple poems, one side page or 2 side page enough. And at the same time, we can say that all the poems of Wordsworth normally explained about nature. Nature is the main peculiarity of Wordsworth works. Okay. So here from the syllabus we can study this poem, She dwelt among the untrodden ways today. Okay. Then next we can discuss about significant reason to read William Wordsworth. What is the significance of William Wordsworth poem? Or what are the basic functions or features of William Wordsworth poetry? And we can say that the first one is William Wordsworth is a romantic poet. A romantic poet, it means that who write poem in romantic age. Okay, so that is the first point we have to remember. And the second one is all Wordsworth poems discuss, all the poems of Wordsworth discuss about nature or natural beauty or nature as a symbol, nature as the symbol. Okay, so these are the next peculiarity of Wordsworth works. Then third one is, we already said that Wordsworth poem indicates mainly through the writings of Wordsworth, he explained that return to nature. That is his important word, return to nature. Return to nature. Okay, what is return to nature? Poet Wordsworth says that the readers go back to nature. That means love the nature and enjoy this beauty and enjoy this presence. And here Wordsworth compare nature with human life, nature with love, nature with sorrow, nature with hope, nature with beauty, and all his comparison, all his explanations based on nature. So we can say that William Wordsworth is a natural poet. He's a natural poet. That means his poems mainly based on nature. So that is the important points regarding with William Wordsworth. Then here, let's discuss about Lucy. We know that this poem, we are going to study the poem. She dwelt among the untrodden ways. This is a poem we are going to discuss today. And this poem is named as Lucy poem. Okay. This poem is named as Lucy poem. And here, what is Lucy poem? Lucy is a symbolic character. Maybe it is actually the truth behind Lucy is unknown. And in literary works, the historians and experts also say that this character Lucy is actually an unknown or sexless or unknown or sexless figure. That means that William Wordsworth used the character Lucy as maybe a representative of society, or maybe a representative of his love. Okay, and maybe his representative of old memories. Okay, whatever. Actually, the main purpose behind this depiction of this character is unknown. But through Wordsworth's poem, we can say that Wordsworth literary works mentions about a character Lucy. Actually, Lucy is unknown, is an unknown character. And through his poem, Wordsworth explained his imagination through this character. So we can say that this character is a symbol of love, society, or his old memories. Or the poet wants to say something, and in order to say something, his imagination, he used this character. That is the basic thing we have to understand. And mainly, Wordsworth Lucy poem, 5 Lucy poems. That means Wordsworth wrote 5 poems, and these 5 poems commonly explained about a single character, that is Lucy. Or through this 5 poem, William Wordsworth explained his imagination by representing a character, that is Lucy. And in this session also we are going to discuss about the Lucy. That is, so that's why we can say these 5 poems commonly called as Lucy poem. Which are the Lucy poem? Mainly 5 poems are written by William Wordsworth, and these 5 poems named as Lucy poem. Which are the Lucy poem? Here you can see the Lucy poems. First one is Strange Fits of Passion Have I Known. That is the first Lucy poem. Second one, She Dwelt Among the Untrodden Ways. And this Lucy poem included in the UPSC syllabus. Okay. This Lucy poem included in the UPSC main optional syllabus. And next one is I Travelled Among Unknown Men. Among unknown men. And fourth one is 3 years she grew in sun and shower. Okay, this poem also included in the UPSC syllabus. Okay, so 2 Lucy poem included in the UPSC syllabus. And this one is She Dwelt Among the Untrodden Ways, also in UPSC syllabus. And 3 years she grew in sun and shower is in UPSC syllabus. And the next one is The Slumber Did My Spirit Seal. The slumber did my spirit seal. These are the important poems named as Lucy poem. Then what is Lucy poem? Lucy poem means the list of 5 poems written by William Wordsworth, and through these 5 poems, the writer or William Wordsworth explained about his imagination through a representative character. That character name is Lucy. So that's what we can call it as a Lucy poems. So mainly Lucy poems are 5 in number. Okay. So let's move into the poem. So these are the important points relating with Lucy poem. And here, this Lucy poem, it was written in 1798. It was written in 1798. This poem was written in 1798. And this poem was published, which year published? published in 1800. This poem published in 1800. Published in 1800. Okay, so this poem is written in 1798 and published in 1800. Then what is the importance of the year 1800? What is the importance of the year 1800? 1800, we know that 1800 to 1850. 1800 to 1850 is considered as the period of Romantic age. That's an important point. Okay. Period between 1800 to 1850 is considered as the Romantic age, and in this age is considered as the very popular age in English literature. That means a lot of works introduced in this time, especially an important figure like S.T. Coleridge. S.T. Coleridge. Okay, S.T. Coleridge also one of the important figure behind the Romantic movement. And both S.T. Coleridge and William Wordsworth, both S.T. Coleridge and William Wordsworth together worked, and there was a classical work in Romantic age, that is lyrical ballad. Okay, lyrical ballad. Lyrical ballad was an important or a famous work in that time. So these are the important points relating with the Romantic age. Okay. So here let's discuss about this poem. Before explaining this poem, we can briefly explain the feature of this poem. This poem is only 3 stanzas. Okay, this poem includes only 3 stanzas and 12 lines. Okay, this poem is only 3 stanzas including 12 lines. Very small poem, but very, very important poem. Then this poem, the feature of this poem is explaining about loneliness, and this poem explaining about death, and this poem explaining about beauty. Okay, so here I already said these 3 terms, and these 3 terms, mainly loneliness, death and beauty, it's about Lucy. Okay, this is about Lucy. And through this emotional presentation, or through these emotional sides, William Wordsworth explained about a character Lucy, and who is lonely and dead and beauty. So these are the 3 important elements included in this poem. So this poem is very short and very easy to learn, and it's very easy to read because the simple language, straightforward presentation. Okay, so let's start the poem. We can start the poem. Okay, stanza 1. Stanza 1 includes 4 lines. The first stanza, we have only 3 stanzas in this poem. First stanza we can explain. She dwelt among the untrodden ways, beside the brink of dough, a maid whom there were none to praise, and very few to love. Stanza 1, it means that line 1 to 4. Line 1 to 4. What the poet says about these lines? She dwelt among the untrodden ways. That means that she lived in a lonely place. She lived in a lonely place. It means that she lived there in a past. Means that she lived in a past. She lived in a past. That means that she is no more now. She's dead. But she lived among the untrodden ways because nobody noticed her, and nobody noticed her beauty. Nobody tried to understand her. That the poet says that she lived in a past. That means she lived in long ago in a remote area or remote part. Okay. And she lived in a remote, she lived in a remote place. Here, who is she? Here she, who is she? She means Lucy. Okay. She means Lucy. So Lucy lived in a remote area and nobody watched her, nobody wanted to see her. Okay. Then beside the spring of Doe, beside the spring of Doe, what is spring of Doe? Doe is a river. Doe is a river in central England. Okay. Doe is a river in central England and she lived springs. That means, what is springs? Here springs means the area or the Vasant. In Hindi we can say that Vasant. Okay. That means the area of near the shore of Doe. Doe is a river in central England. A maid whom there were none to praise and every few to love. It means that she is a maid. What is maid? Maid means an unmarried woman. An unmarried woman. Okay, that is maid. Actually, this Lucy was a maid and she lived in a remote area. Nobody wanted to see her and nobody wanted to enjoy her beauty because she lived in a remote area. Specifically say she lived in a place near the Dove River. Dove River is a river in central England. Okay, and very few to love. That means that the maid Lucy lived in an area near the riverside, that river named as Dove, and nobody wanted to go and go to her home, and nobody addressed her, understood her. That is the point here the Wordsworth trying to say in this first line. It's a very simple poem. Okay. And Lucy was alone. Actually, Lucy was alone. Nobody cared about her. Okay. She was alone and nobody want to praise her. Okay. Nobody want to praise her beauty. What is praise? Praise means address. Okay. So these are the important points including this stanza 1. So stanza 1 explain about the poet represents a character. The character is Lucy. Okay, Lucy, a girl. Actually, she was unmarried and she lived in a remote place near that river named as Dove, D-O-V-E, Dove. Okay. And Dove means a place near, Dove is a river near the central England, and she lived and nobody wanted to meet her and enjoy her beauty, and she was alone and she lived alone. So here the poet Wordsworth says that Lucy was in loneliness. Okay, she lived her life in lonely way. So that is the meaning of this stanza 1. This is a very, very simple poem. Okay. Then next we can go to the stanza 2. The stanza 2 also includes 4 lines. Stanza 2 also includes 4 lines. It means that line 5 to 8. Line 5 to 8. So what this through this line, what the poet trying to say? What's the meaning? We can read and understand. A violet by a mossy stone, half hidden from the eye, fair as a star when only one is shining in the sky. Okay, so here let's see the important points or imagination the poet Wordsworth explains in these lines. Here we can say that some comparisons. Here the poet tries to compare the beauty of the beauty of Lucy with some objects in the earth, specifically natural beauty. Okay. Here Lucy is a person, as an imaginary character or as a person, and the poet Wordsworth compares Lucy with natural thing. Okay, so here this stanza, these 4 lines explain about the beauty of these lines explains about the beauty of Lucy. Beauty of Lucy. Okay. Beauty of Lucy. A violet by the mossy stone. Violet. She is like a violet flower. Okay. Violet flower. She is like a violet flower. The poet comparing Lucy with a flower. Violet flower. Okay. Violet flower. And what is the peculiarity of this flower? This flower situates the mossy stone. What is mossy stone? Here we know that mossy stone means Kedar Pathar. Okay, in Hindi we can say that Kedar Pathar. It means, what is mossy? Mossy means daldalka. Okay, here a green coverage or green layer which grow on the rock. Okay, that is mossy. This is mossy. And near this mossy stone, there is a flower. Flower is violet flower. And the poet imagines that Lucy's beauty is like a violet flower. Lucy's beauty is like a violet flower. Okay. And this flower situates near the stone. That stone is mossy. That stone is mossy. What is mossy? Mossy means daldalka. Already it means that a stone which covers with green like algae like that. Okay. So it means that on the rain and the riverside. Okay. Normally we can see. And this is an imagination of the poet. And next is that half hidden from the eye. That means this flower, this violet color flower can see the poet. The poet visualizes that it is half hidden from the eye. That means the very beautiful scene. That means the poet says that this is a very beautiful scenery. And next one is fair as a star. We know that this poet explains that her beauty is like, because she is like a star. Okay, when the star appears in the sky during the night time, there will be a star on the sky, in the sky, and the poet says that the Lucy is like a star and she is brightening. And that is the comparison of the poet with the character Lucy. Okay, so let's discuss the stanza 2. Very simple meaning. What is the stanza means? Through the stanza 2, that means the line 5 to 8 of this poem, William Wordsworth tries to explain about the beauty of Lucy. And her beauty is comparing, how the poet compare the beauty of Lucy. Here comparing that, she is like a violet flower. Lucy is like a violet flower. That flower appears near the mossy stone. And this is a very beautiful scene the poet imagines. And next one is, Lucy looks like a star. That means in the sky, the poet imagines that this character is like a star. So that during the night time, the star will brighten. So the poet explains that the beauty of Lucy is like a violet flower and she is like a star in the sky. Okay, so these are the important points in the stanza 2. Very simple. Okay, very simple. Then next is we can discuss about the stanza 3. What is the stanza 3 explains? So the stanza 3 is the last stanza of the poem, and this stanza also includes 4 lines. and lines from 9 to 12. Lines from 9 to 12. Then what are the important imaginative or the concluding part the poet explains here? It means the poet explains the last part of the stanza. She lived unknown. That means nobody. She lived unknown. It means that the young woman, Lucy, was unknown by people. Unknown by people. Okay. She was unknown by people. Actually, she was very beautiful, and at the same time, she was unmarried and she was pure. But the poet says that nobody knows her. That means unknown. She was actually unknown. Okay. Now she's dead. Okay. Few could know. And when Lucy ceased to be, but she is in her grave, it means that symmetry. You know that? Grave means now she is dead. Now Lucy is dead. Okay. So now Lucy is dead and nobody knows her beauty. Actually, she is no more in this earth. And the poet regrets that. The poet feels that this was the condition of the girl Lucy, and she is dead now. Okay. And next one is this poem. The last part of the poem. The poet also admits that. The poet admits that. Actually, the poet summarized the poem with his own mind. That means that the poem ends with a self-talk. Actually, the poet talked with himself that he also unaware about her beauty and about her value. Actually, the poet regrets about the incident, and he imagined that the beauty of Lucy was also unknown to the poet itself. So this is the important point relating with the last part of the stanza. Then let's summarize this poem. The poem is, this poem, Wordsworth poem, is a simple poem, only 12 lines, 3 stanzas. And once again, we can just revise the poem, quickly revise the poem. The poem signifies about the character, Lucy. Actually, Lucy was an imaginary character or an imaginary representation of Wordsworth poem. Actually, Wordsworth wrote 5 different Lucy poems, and from the 5 poems, Lucy poems, in UPSC exam, we have 2 poems from the 5 Lucy poems. Okay, and this poem explains about the character Lucy. She is an unmarried woman, and she lived lonely. She lived in a lonely place, and she was unknown to others, and nobody knows her and nobody enjoyed her beauty. The poet says that she lived her life in a remote area near the river Dove. Dove River is the river in the central England. And in the second stanza, the poet Wordsworth explains that her beauty, the poet compares Lucy with some natural beauty. It means that Lucy is like a violet flower, and it's lying near the mossy stone. And then the poet compares Lucy's beauty into star. During the night time, like a bright star, her beauty brightens. And the next stanza, the last stanza of the poem, poet Wordsworth explains about his regrets, because he is also one of the person who ignores her beauty, and the world was unknown her beauty. And the poet says that now Lucy is dead, and she is resting in the grave. She is resting in the grave. And these are the important imaginative content used Wordsworth in this poem. Okay. Then next we can discuss about the important features of romantic poem. We know that the important feature of romantic poem is that the romantic poem mainly gave importance to imagination. So we already said that this poem is about imagination. This poem is about imagination. Okay. Romantic poem. Romantic poem mainly give importance to what? Imagination. Okay, imagination. And in romantic poems or romantic works, reason, that means logical or reason than reason. Okay, than reason. Than reason, romantic poems or romantic literary works give more importance to imagination than reason. That's an important point. Then let's discuss about the poetic devices used, the Wordsworth used, which are the poetic devices in this poem. It's an important point we have to study relating with the devices, because in UPSC exam, civil service UPSC mains examination, a lot of questions normally can see the UPSC previous question also, because UPSC is asking that the different types of poetic devices. So let's discuss about the poetic devices Wordsworth used in this poem. So here let's discuss. The first one is imagery. First device is imagery. What is imagery? Imagery. Okay, it's a device, it's a poetic device used by the poet. What is imagery? Imagery means visual description. Imagery means visual description. Visual description. What is visual description? That means the poet tries to convey some sort of, and the poet forces the readers to think like the poet thinks. Okay, that means when we read the poet tries to convey the readers some sort of an imaginary description. That means in imaginary way. Like we can take an example, a movie relating with a fiction or a supernatural things like imaginative stories. We have a different movies. That means that movie conveys some sort of imagination. So the poem explains about some imagery. So that is a literary device used by William Wordsworth in this poem. That is visual description. Which are the visual description used the poet in this? We can say that springs of dough. Okay, it's a visual description. That means when we read the poem, we just imagine, you can imagine that a girl who lived near the riverside. That is imagination. That's a visual description. Okay, then next is that we can say that imagination is, lot of imaginations are there, shining in the sky, then hidden from the eye. All these are imagination. All these are the imaginary descriptions of the poem. So that is the first device used in this poem. And the next one is next we can first we explained about what is imagery. Imagery we already discussed. That's the first device. And the second one we can say that second one is metaphor. Okay, metaphor. In Hindi it is rubak. Okay, metaphor. Metaphor means rubak. Second one is metaphor. Metaphor. Okay. Metaphor. What is metaphor? Metaphor means, metaphor matlab rubak. Okay. What is metaphor? It means that metaphor means comparing. Metaphor means compare Lucy into natural thing. Okay. Compare. Compare a person with natural things. Okay, this is the second poetical device used Wordsworth in this poem. Which are the comparison here? We can say that the important comparison, we can say that violet flower. Okay, violet flower, violet flower. Violet flower in the mossy stone. Violet flower in the mossy stone. This is a comparison. We can say that this is a metaphor. Okay, or rubak. In Hindi, it is rubak. Okay. Then third one is. The important device used the Wordsworth in this poem is simile. Okay. What is simile? Simile. The third device is simile. Okay. Simile means ubama. Ubama. Okay. Ubama. In Hindi, we can say that ubama. Okay. Okay. Simile means ubama. That means the poet compare a thing into another. That means as is important. Okay. In this simile, the poet used as. That means he is like as this. She is like as this, like that. So this is a comparison. And here in this poem, we can see fair as star. Okay. Fair as star is a simile or ubama. Okay. Fair as star. Then now we can normally we think that what is the difference between metaphor and simile. Actually, metaphor and simile explains the same content, but at the same time, metaphor means the poet compares, directly compare with anyone, that is, or anything. That is metaphor. But in case of simile, simile means this one as this one. That is the difference. Okay. Metaphor means this like this. That's all. Simply the poet compare a thing, a person into something. Okay. But simile means he is like as like as. That is the difference. Okay. So here, fair as star. Okay. Actually, she is fair. Lucy is fair as star. So that is simile. But metaphor, not as. That means not specifically signify. Here, simile means it's a form of literary term or literary device. It is directly compare a person or a thing into another thing or person. But in case of metaphor, it is not specifically say it's a natural comparison, but it is directly to connect with as connect. Okay, so the word as is normally used in this comparison. And the next poetic device the poet used this symbolism. What is symbolism? The third poetic device is fourth one is symbolism. Symbolism is a device used in this poem. Symbolism means use of symbols. Here we can see a lot of symbols are there. Which are the symbols? We can see the violet flower is a symbol, and star is a symbol. Example, correct? So these are the symbols normally used in this poem. So that is symbolism is a poetic device Wordsworth used in this poem. And next one is end rhyme. The important point is end rhyme. What is rhyme? The fifth one, the poet used a device. Fifth one is end rhyme. End rhyme. What is end rhyme? What is rhyme? Rhyme means when we take an example like a poem or a song, each line ends with same sound. That is rhyme. Okay. That is rhyme. This poem is full of rhyme. We can say that. Okay. This poem is about rhyme. Which are the rhyme? Which are the rhyme in this poem? She dwelt among the untrodden ways. praise. Okay. Ways, praise, ace. The last word is same. Okay. Or the last pronunciation is, last sound is same. Praise, ways. Then here, stone, on, one. Okay. The next one is no, oh. Okay. So this is rhyme in the sentence. Through this rhyme, the poet used a different way of presentation. That means some sort of a soothing presentation is done by the Wordsworth. And other, we can say that a lot of other, just thou and love. Okay, thou and love. Two lines end with same voice. So what is rhyme? Rhyme means a word or a line or a song or a poem end with same sound. That is called rhyme. So this is also one of the poetic device used by Wordsworth. Next we can see I. Okay, I. A-E-I-O-U vowel I. Here sky. I, sky. Okay. The next is be, to be, me. Okay. To be, e. Me, e. Okay. So that is also included in this line. Clear? So poetic devices. These are the poetic devices used by the poet in this poem. And the next one is quatrain. Next device in this poem is used by Wordsworth is quatrain. Quatrain. Sixth one is quatrain. Q-U-A-R-T-R-A-I-N. Quatrain. What is quatrain? Quatrain is a stanza or a poem. Okay, actually this is a poem, Persian poetry. Actually it is, this term is coming from Persia. Okay, Persian poetry or Persian poem. In Persian poem we can see this type of poems, that is quatrain. So William Wordsworth used this sentence in quatrain, the method of quatrain. What is quatrain? Quatrain means a poem with four lines each stanza. We already said this poem includes 12 lines, 3 stanzas. Each stanza includes 4 lines only. So that is, this poem is quatrain poem. Okay. So that's also one of the poetic device used in this poem. And seventh one is stanza. What is stanza? Stanza is a next poetic device used in this poem by William Wordsworth. Stanza. What is stanza? Stanza means the arrangement of words or sentence in a poem. That means the poem, each stanza includes 2 lines, maybe 2 lines, 4 lines, 6 lines, 8 lines, like that. So the poem, a poem includes the division of, or each division of poem lines is called stanza. And this also one of the peculiarity or a poetic device used by William Wordsworth in this poem. So these are the important points relating with this poem we discussed in this poem. Okay. Then these are the important points relating with this poem. And once again we can quickly revise this poem. What is this poem and what are the important imaginations and all. And we discussed that this poem, let's discuss once again. She dwelt among the untrodden ways, the poem written by William Wordsworth. William Wordsworth was one of the outstanding writer in Romantic age. This poem was written in 1798 and published in 1800. 1800 to 1850, the period is considered as the period of Romantic age. And what was the content of this poem or the theme of this poem? The theme of this poem is a maid or a girl. Okay, the theme of this poem is a girl or a maid or an unmarried woman, and she named as Lucy. She named as Lucy. Lucy is an imaginary character, actually, this character created by William Wordsworth. Besides this poem, for another poem also written in this way, and these 5 poems, common character is Lucy. And from this perspective, we can call these poems, these 5 poems, generally called as Lucy poem. What is Lucy poem? Lucy poem means the 5 poems which includes a common character, a representation of, it may be a representation of society, a representation of beauty and all. Wordsworth used this character, Lucy, in this poem. Okay, then we discussed about this poem mainly includes 3 stanzas, and each stanza includes 4 lines. In total, 12 lines poem. The first stanza we discussed about the Lucy, the girl, lived in a remote area near the river. That river name is Dove. The Dove River is a river in central England. And in the second part of this poem, or stanza 2, we discussed that the poet William Wordsworth explained about the beauty of Lucy. And here, the poet explains some sort of metaphor, simile, like different types of comparisons. Like she is like a violet flower and she is like a star in the sky. And the third stanza of the poem, William Wordsworth explains about she was lived in here without, nobody knows her beauty, nobody wanted to arrive that particular place because she lived a lonely life. Now she is dead and she is lying in the grave. So in the final 2 lines of the poem, William Wordsworth thinks himself that he is also one of the person who does not try to understand her beauty and all. So the poet really regrets his thought as well. So these are the important imaginary elements used William Wordsworth in this poem. And this poem is called as an imaginary poem, a romantic poem, and it's a burial poem as well. This poem is a burial poem. How can we conclude this poem? This poem is a burial poem. This poem is a poem relating with loneliness. This poem is a poem relating with death. So these are the 3 important things included in this poem: loneliness, death, and beauty. These 3 important factors included in this poem. Okay, so let's wind up today's session and we will meet the next session also. And thank you. Have a nice day.